In December 2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to Facebook prison for a crime they did not commit. They promptly escaped to the YouTube and Minds.com underworld, acting as YouTubers of fortune. If you need help, and if you can find him, maybe you can hire the smAsho channel. So we got the sun on 193 angstroms here. We see a coronal hole associated with the south polar coronal hole. Otherwise, not a lot going on activity-wise. And the north pole coronal hole is looking like it's a little more symmetrical. Here are the magnetic field lines. You see some complexity associated with that setting active region. Talking about this. And yeah, otherwise pretty weak solar output. Checking out 171 angstroms, we see some complicated filamentary stuff going on in the northwest. Check it out. That filament twisting around. Nice. And here's a zoomed out view. And here's a real-time solar wind. The total energy there and the BT just went up a little bit. And the BZ is pretty convergent on the zero line. We got a phi angle of like 315 right now. A tiny connection with a coronal hole, it looks like there, for a very brief period. Solar wind density has just ramped up to 5.55 protons per cubic centimeter, and the wind speed at 378 kilometers per second. How about spaceweathernews.com for some more solar data? Looking at the X-ray flux, quite flatlined there. Magnetometer is still looking smooth, although we see a spike right there at the bottom, so that's something to watch. KP has been sustained at 1 for about 24 hours here. Here is your Cygnus forecast through the 16th. Let that play through for you. Electron flux is looking smooth also, although at a relatively high level. Keep in mind it's considered an electron storm when you get to about 10 to the 5th, especially for sustained periods like we saw in August of 2018. Charging hazards are quite minimal. Looks like out there west of Australia in the Indian Ocean, and the F2 layer is looking pretty anomalous here. It's quite charged here and quite discharged here, so we're going to be seeing a charge disparity coming in here as the Earth turns. Like sands through the hourglass of time, so are the Earths of our lives. And here's the Gong 2 data. Keep in mind it's an hour and 46 minutes old. This magnetic environment can change instantaneously with absolutely no warning. However, looking at these jumbled up lines in this portion, we're expecting relatively magnetic smooth sailing. So we don't expect a huge range on that GOES magnetometer reading. Moving on. Earthquake update, quakes.globalincidentmap.com. Going back 15 hours, I see a nearly 200 kilometer deep quake there in Tonga at 4.5 magnitude. And that, folks, is the wrong quake. I meant to click on this one. Right in the most heavily worn zone, right on the plate boundary. We also see a 4.5 in Mexico, 4.3 in Chile at 94 kilometers, 4.7 in Venezuela. Now this one here is pretty concerning. Nearly 600 kilometer deep quake in Indonesia, a 4.6 magnitude foretells the possibility of a 5+ at the surface. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's the farthest east we've seen a nearly 600-kilometer deep earthquake also. So that's interesting to say the least. Also seeing a nearly 200-kilometer deep quake in Honduras, right at the northern part of the South American warning area there, which is basically that warning area is this whole region right here, and the other one is this whole region right here. And what else do we have? A 250-kilometer deep quake in Vanuatu. That's a pretty serious uptick of deep quakes, folks. So when we see a coronal hole magnetic connection here, and we could at any moment, that's going to increase the earthquake warning instantaneously. And lastly, we see a 4.5 in Iran, so they've been having a few quakes there. Fortunately, that one's at the surface. And there's a location of that. Moving on to volcanoes. VolcanoDiscovery.com. Today's volcanoes, we got Shivaluch, producing a 14,000-foot ash plume. Fuego has dissipated. Sabancaya unable to detect. And Planchon Petaroa still coming through with the biggest plume here at 15,000 feet of altitude. And let's look at the magnetosphere and solar wind here from a geocentric magnetosphere view. Here's the velocity. We do see some high velocity portions out there by the magnetotail. And a band of higher velocity solar wind coming in. Here we'll see some bands of solar wind density change. See that light lower density solar wind followed by a darker blue solar wind, which is coming in from left to right. Keep in mind white is less dense and blue is more dense. And here's the pressure. Looking a little bit on the weak side as far as the leading edge goes. You got more density in the magnetotail here than you have on the bow shock. Next, we'll look at ground magnetic perturbations here, thanks to the University of Michigan geospace model. Looking at the poles. See quite a magnetic spillover there into the Indian Ocean. And here's the perspective from the globe. We see the standard magnetic spillover in the Pacific Ocean also there, centered near Hawaii. Hawaii, to pronounce it correctly. Moving on. Before we continue talking about the magnetosphere, let me just introduce new viewers to Galaxy Zoo, zooniverse.org. Come up here, make yourself a login, and do some real astronomy work, some actual astronomy. You put in your name and stuff, you could get published in a scientific paper. If a galaxy that you personally classify gets used in a paper. So here we've got an interesting galaxy, actually. Check it out. Looks like it's in the process of merging. It's under major disturbance. There's overlap, all kinds of features. Let's classify it. So we see features. Is it an edge-on disk? Uh-uh. Do we see a bar? Yeah, we see a bar. Strong bar. Is there any sign of a spiral arm pattern? Yes, there are 2 arms. And they are tightly wrapped. Is there a bulge? You bet there's a bulge. We're going to say moderate. Is it merging or disturbed? I would say. Let's say merging. And we'll also have the couple irregular features here. Let's see. Is there a ring? No ring. Is there a lens or arc? Not really. Is it irregular? Sure is. Is there a dust lane? Sure is. Is there overlapping? Sure is. So that was a pretty unusual galaxy there, folks. So if you want to do some of this yourself, it is real science. Keep in mind the reason we have this citizen science project going on. It is one of the largest in the world, by the way. We have this because computers can't do what your brain can. We need visual analysis of hundreds of billions of galaxies. We've only got a few billion people to do it, so head to zooniverse.org and get started. Be a real astronomer. No degree required. Now let's get back to the world magnetic model. As our regular viewers are aware, NOAA recently released the world magnetic model earlier than expected, because especially the North Magnetic Pole has been shifting at unprecedented rates. You can see from this image, we've got a North Pole here and another North Pole here. This is a bad image, by the way. I don't know why they use this as their opener. Now, their other image isn't a whole lot better. Let's take a look at it. Now, this one here, what it's showing you is the location of the pole. The problem is we have 2 of them in the north. So while your compass would point this way, as you get closer to this pole, your compass is going to point more to this way. So now keep in mind, if this pole continues to move and or this pole continues to weaken, there could be a point where the Earth enters into these weak magnetic field lines. If any pole gets beyond 40 degrees, it could suddenly flip, or we could spend an extended period with the Earth with weak magnetic field lines, in which case there would be magnetic fields all over the planet. Why are we talking about it? Well, because we had some links sitting around that we haven't done anything with. Let's give you a quick look. Now, we will, of course, leave links to this, as we do to everything that we visit on our channel here. So here's a link that I found a while ago. Data and products. Regarding all kinds of different elevation models. For instance, let's just give you one idea here. Airborne aeromagnetic geomagnetism. We got all kinds of data gathering missions are going on here. Here's one example of it. Here's a bunch of different projects in the Arctic. So I don't really have time to go through a whole lot of this right now, but we will leave links. I know many of our viewers will find this very interesting. Here's another page that we also found. This is the aeromagnetic track line data. So more interesting information there. And I just closed my browser for no reason. Moving on. And here's the U.S. Doppler radar map. You can see that ice we were showing yesterday in southern Illinois has now made it up to Maryland and South New Jersey as this giant band of precipitation stagnates. Let's go to Nonsense Alert at sciencealert.com. We covered this story last week. Let's cover it again. European contact killed so many indigenous Americans, it changed the climate, study says. Now, since this is making its rounds again, let's see who did the study. By the way, the reasoning for this is that so many Native Americans were killed that global carbon dioxide levels dropped because the Native Americans' farms were abandoned and they were replaced with fast-growing trees, which scrubbed so much carbon dioxide out of the air that it lowered global temperatures. Here's the original article from BusinessInsider.com. Stupid, idiotic, moronic, and imbecile are all adjectives to describe this, as it is one of the dumbest stories we've ever read. I guess the Little Ice Age had nothing to do with no sunspots appearing for 70 years. Humans were causing climate change before the Industrial Revolution even occurred, apparently. You evil, evil Euros. Let's scroll down here and see if we can find the original article. Sharticle. Is that it? WeForum.org? And we're going down a rabbit hole here, folks. All right, in any case, we don't have time for this nonsense. If you want to figure out who wrote this idiotic, brain-dead, foolhardy, stupid-premised article, feel free. We're just going to leave links to the original one at nonsensealert.com. Christopher Columbus caused the Little Ice Age. And here's an article from SciTech Daily. Zwicky Transient Facility takes its first image of the sky, and that's the wrong article. And there's the right article. Latest discoveries from Zwicky Transient Facility, supernova. See that? That's M31, otherwise known as the Andromeda Galaxy. Anyway, we'll leave links to the article. Zwicky is doing all kinds of good science over there. That's the observatory that discovered asteroid 2019 AQ3, which we covered a few days ago. We'll leave links to the article as well as to Caltech's Zwicky Transient Facility. Check it out. Lots of good stuff on this website. Zwicky Transient Facility. Next, let's go to randomeyes.com, random-eyes.com, because I want to show you a random website. Check it out. RealUltimatePower.net, the official Ninja webpage. Real Ultimate Power. This site is all about ninjas, real ninjas. This site is awesome. My name is Robert. I can't stop thinking about ninjas. These guys are cool, and by cool, I mean totally sweet. Ninjas are mammals. Ninjas fight all the time, and the purpose of the ninja is to flip out and kill people. Here's some close-ups of Ninja Sword and Ninja Stars, otherwise known as shurikens. Now, how do you like them apples? Is that a value-added service or what? Who's out here telling you about space and about ninjas on the same channel? You'd think we'd have 1,000 subscribers already. You'd think. But we don't. So, yeah. By the way, thanks everybody who's financially supporting the channel through Patreon and through PayPal. We greatly appreciate that. It is reducing our proportional overhead costs and really encouraging us in ways that only financial encouragement could. So, thanks for commenting, all of you commenter stars out there. Keep staring at the sun. Check out that filament in the northwest limb there. Check out the filament in the southeast limb. That one is big. Remember, when you're staring at filaments, don't drink. And if you drink, don't drive. Or just plane don't drive. Please don't drive.